Okay, good evening. We'll start the meeting with the open meeting to the public. Address the board on any topic.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, just identify yourself for the clerk. And
Okay, I'm Connie Kazava. I have the gallery on Lake Street.
Yeah,
And on behalf of some of the businesses, because I haven't contacted all of them, but I have contacted a lot of them, we would like to ask you if you would consider that fixing the zoning or whatever it's, I don't know the laws that well. Fixing it so when people buy one of the buildings within the so-called historic section, that they would have 3 years to open their bottom floor to a retail shop. Because we have the yellow building, which has been empty for a long time.
I think you'd have to go to the planning board for that, or zoning board.
Zoning board?
yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's, they have restrictions on the use, I understand. First floors all have to be businesses and not apartments.
Right,
And that's in the law. It's in the
Yes.
zoning law. But I mean, I don't see what you can do with a vacant building to make somebody put something in it if they own it.
well,
I agree with you, it should be, it looks terrible down there with everything vacant, but I don't know how you can force somebody to put something in there that they don't have, you know?
I thought going forward, if they know before they purchase a building, that that's part of the law.
Well, I would say we would approach the zoning board for their recommendation on that, see, because they know the zoning law better than we do,
Okay,
and see if it's a viable thing. I believe, Pat Burkett's the president, and if you want, we can give you her name and phone number and stuff, and
Great.
give her a call if you'd like.
I would.
Do you have that with you, Donna, or should you come down to the office tomorrow? Or call the office?
I can call Connie tomorrow with it.
Okay. Okay,
Great, thank you.
okay, anything else?
Not tonight.
Not yet? Okay. We have the minutes of the September 17th meeting. Is there any errors or omissions noted?
I just would like to make one statement. I know the official motions were in place, and I understand the rules and everything. I just want to make a qualifying statement, is that when I said no on the motion for Jerry Pavetta, it wasn't meant for Mr. Pavetta as a no to him. My no was objection to the mayor not having any other kind of training period other than what Jerry's up there for. So I just want to make a record on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll clarify that too, that Trustee Dart proposed an unworkable training solution for down there because we have to get a second wastewater treatment plant operator certified as soon as possible for a specific reason. And it takes a year to get them certified. And breaking it down into 6-month increments and switching 2 people back and forth would have delayed it till 2 years. And we couldn't wait 2 years to do that. And that's why we made the motion and voted on it. Okay, any other comments about the minutes?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, minutes are approved. Bills. Our son, are there any,
No additions or deletions.
okay? Any questions from the board about the bills? Any discussion?
Make a motion, the bill be paid?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence?
There's no correspondence this evening.
Okay. Reports from the board. Okay, the first thing we have is, we have an EMS contract from the ambulance service provider, and it's quite lengthy, and it requires some study and scrutiny. It's not due to take effect until January 1st, so we have plenty of time to look into this, but I'd like to get working on it sooner than later. I've asked trustee LeBlanc to assist me on this initially, and the administrator will be doing some preliminary research on it, investigation, and then we'll get back to the rest of the board very soon, probably next week. I'm thinking if we can get our schedules to line up. We have to get some other information first. And then we'll have probably a workshop, executive session type meeting with the whole board to report what we got and decide what our options are, if any. So that's where that stands. I wanted to review the motions and procedures. Basically, a board member or the mayor has a topic, you capsulize the issue under discussion in the form of a motion. So we might have been talking about something for 15 minutes, you just don't say, I make a motion, we do that. You have to say, okay, I make a motion, we do X, Y, and Z. And then someone seconds the motion, and then once it's seconded, then we can have further discussion or for voting. But that's when the discussion is supposed to come in on the motion, because then it's the specific motion that you're voting on. If you have a discussion on it, that's when you discuss. Now, I have tried to assist the board members in kind of making their motions, wording them so that we can make a motion, because lots of times it's after we've talked for 15 minutes, and what's the actual motion about? So I've tried to get to the heart of it for somebody to move it to the floor. Now, the vote is final. There's no more additions or modifications once it's been voted on. Like I say, I made efforts on occasion to assist trustees with their motions by encapsulating the issue. If the trustee's in agreement with this version, then they may say, I move that to the floor. And then somebody else can second it, and that's when we vote on it. There are cases where we need a roll call vote, and I believe those are, well, it can be anything that I would like to have on record who voted for it. But specifically, I think it pertains to contracts and money issues, doesn't there, son? Certain things we have to do roll calls on. And think of any other ones down off the top of your head that require roll calls?
Resolutions, anything to do with resolutions?
Yeah, resolutions and laws, and maybe budget transfers sometimes. Anyway, so that's what we're just trying to refresh everybody on this.
Well, why don't we just say, if I make a motion, trustee Arnold made a motion to dispense with the minutes or whatever, or how can you do that?
Well, you are. Oh, wait a minute, dispense with the minute? or-
No, I'm just saying, I mean,
No,
whatever.
you can make a
Whatever.
motion, like you say, I make a motion to approve the minutes. Somebody else seconds it, we vote on it. Or I could say, okay, a motion and a second, is there any discussion? And then if there's no discussion, then we vote on it.
He's just saying after a lengthy discussion,
Some of these
Oh,
topics
yeah,
we're
you
talking
need to-
on for half an hour, and then we gotta come to a resolution at the end and
You need to
decide what
restate
we're
the
gonna do.
motion, yeah.
So I just restate it in a couple of sentences.
All
And
right.
if that's agreement with whoever's making the motion, then okay. Let's see, I have a budget resolution here for, someplace I have it. Here it is. Oh, I do have your thing, Don, it was in behind the contract.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. This is a budget resolution that we discussed at the last meeting to come up with a 5% village contribution for the $75,000 grant that the fire department got from the state, I believe. And they have money in their budget to match that 5%, and this transfers the money from the general fund appropriation fire department to the fire department capital project, which is what we put all the things that are gonna be bought in the grant money. They had a list of everything, we kept it separate from the budget in case the grant didn't go through. So anyways, basically, I'll read this off, you all have it in front of you? Okay. Whereas the Board of Trustees deems it advisable to make certain modifications to the 2018-19 village budget to reflect the awarding of the 2017 FEMA Assistant to Firefighters Grant, be it therefore resolved that the treasurer is authorized and directed to make the following modifications to the village budget for fiscal year 2018 to 19. General fund appropriations, $3,751 from equipment and safety funds to the capital project. So decrease the budgeted items and increase the capital project by $3,751. Then fire department capital project fund appropriations increased $78,771. And fire department capital project fund revenues, shows what pays for that, is state aid public safety capital projects, $75,020, and interfund transfers from the general fund within the fire department budget of $3,751. So the net result is the estimated revenues for this capital project fund is $78,771, and the appropriations are decreased by $78,771. Thank you. So I move that to the floor. So I need a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Can you roll call vote for this? Trustee Arnold?
Aye.
Trustee Dart?
Aye.
Trustee Menard?
Aye.
Trustee LeBlanc?
Aye.
The mayor votes aye. And I'd like to also thank the fire department for the work that they did to acquire this grant, because I imagine it was a significant amount of paperwork and applications by Chief LeBlanc.
Right.
So, they got this for the village,
Yeah.
$78,000 of equipment for the village by doing the work. So, anyway. Last week, as you know, most of the management was down in training in Lake Placid, you guys went to? So while they were gone, I had the accounting department look into a few things, and we found 2 computer phone lines that we've been paying for a couple of years that aren't hooked up to anything. So I had them canceled. And that comes out, one of them was $47.33, and one of them was $53.62 a month. So the total comes out to $101 a month, which is a little over $1,200 a year we're saving. Now, those 2 lines were, one was in here, left over from the court for Tony's computer, and the other one was down in the garage that they never hooked the computer up to. So we eliminated those. So I think the girls did a good job rooting that out.
Excellent, yeah.
So, the last item I have is a code enforcement. As you know, our code enforcement officer resigned effective tomorrow. And the town reached out to us today. Councilman Burtz met with myself and the treasurer and the administrator. And they had a couple issues that they wanted to ask us about, and I said I'd bring it up at the meeting tonight. One thing that they did is they offered us to use the town code enforcement officer 4 hours a week on Wednesday for $7,000 a year, which is exactly 10%, 4 hours is 10% of a week. So 10% of what he costs them to have is $7,000. That's his salary, his benefits, the car, the insurance, all that stuff. And they said that they would look for a 5-year contract. The administrator's looking into it with our attorney to see if, since it's a mayoral appointment, I don't know if we can appoint it and bind a future board. But I think we can do the 5-year thing and have it renewed maybe with another mayor coming
An
in.
appointment every year.
It can be.
Right.
Well, we're doing but we're also doing a contract. That's what the issue
So,
is, the conflict.
you can suggest, this is what probably the village wishes are going to be, but it's gonna be up to the mayor to appoint that person every year.
Right.
And that alleviates you of any legal responsibility, if you're only appointing them a year at a time.
Yeah, we're signing a contract for 5 years. That's what the conflict is. That we'll get it straightened out.
Okay.
But we haven't made any decisions either. What I did get out of him was I asked him if he would let us use that person, Mickey Tatro, if the town would let us do it for a couple of weeks or a month or two on a prorated basis, till we decide what we're finally gonna do. If we're gonna hire our own, if we're gonna go with them, if that 4 hours, what I'm concerned about is that 4 hours adequate to cover the village? Because when he was here before, it was either 8 or 10 hours a week, I can't remember, because it was 20 or 25% is what he used to do. But that included attending all the zoning and planning board meetings, and that's not, I don't think that's gonna be a requirement unless there's a specific issue that requires him to be there.
Well, we're going into our slow permit season anyways, with the construction season cracking down. And I can't foresee that our code enforcement officer would be busy this winter because the winter's past.
No, I don't
They
think it
haven't.
will be either, but we don't know what the activity up at the Pfizer plant's gonna be. There's gonna be demolition permits and construction permits and all kinds of stuff up there, and those take a lot of time. Those big commercial industrial permits and plans and everything.
Well, can you look into then, it'd be a minimum of 4 hours a week, and also that, could we get this person for, of course, that's this person's permission, more than 4 hours a week?
Well, that's what I'm
When we
looking at.
needed something.
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. We specifically asked him that, and they don't know, because they're committed to this contract with Shazy.
Right, okay.
They got him down there so many hours, they got him in, I think he does the village of Champlain's too. And what I'm trying to do is lead him towards shared service and just take over the code enforcement for the whole town of Champlain and be done with it.
Which includes the village of Rouses.
Both villages in the town.
That makes sense.
And that's what I think they should be leaning towards, but, you know, that's another argument. But so anyway, I would say, I don't know, yeah, I'll do it with the board. I'd like to, get board approval to negotiate with the town for a limited use here for a month or two, and then we'll have time to sort this out and figure out specifically what we want to do, and we'll get more specific answers from the town, what they can provide, what they can't provide, and like that. So I would like a motion to authorize the mayor to enter an agreement with the town for, say, up to 2 months, and then we'll have a formal contract that will require regular board approval to do it. Or it may come up sooner, we may decide sooner.
I'll make a motion that we have the mayor and associates negotiate with the town in the use of their zoning enforcement officer for a period of 2 calendar months or sooner if we come to an agreement.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. But what I want to do, what my goal is, I don't know if I can do it, but what I'd like to do is try to get this formalized by the next board meeting, but that might be optimistic. It depends on how much information I can get from them and see which way we want to go.
A good cautious approach is the best way.
Yeah. So anyways, okay. Okay, I think that's all I have for right now. Trustee Arnold?
The first aid kits are all been ordered and they're in, they're being put into the trucks and stuff, in the loaders and everything like that. And most of the trucks, they couldn't get the 5-pound fire extinguisher unless it was on the floor or something like that. They couldn't put it behind the seat, so we got 2-pounders instead.
Hmm.
So at least they got a fire extinguisher and stuff like that in the
Okay.
trucks. And the brackets were too big and too costly for the price that we wanted to take and spend. So all the fire trucks, or all the trucks on the village have first aid kits and gonna have fire extinguishers in the equipment. So on that.
Okay. You know, on the fire extinguisher doesn't have to be in the cab, you know, it could be in one of the compartments and just have a sign on the compartment.
Yeah, well, it's kinda hard to put one in a dump truck, I mean, you know.
Well, I'm just saying on some of the
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, I'm
Well,
just
the line
saying.
truck already has a fire extinguisher.
Well, that was already set up when we
Yeah.
got it, right?
Yeah, so, but anyhow, they're all
Okay,
at
good.
the par right now, so, or they're gonna be anyhow. All right, what are we gonna do with all the brush in the village? Are we gonna pick that up for people or what?
Well, we have a village-wide pickup scheduled for the week before
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
So that's like 2 weeks now. We have had a lot of wind damage the last couple of weeks. So when we get to superintendent's point here, when it's his turn, we'll talk to him about it then and ask him if
Okay,
they got time to work something in.
sounds good.
I don't want to, they're trying to hurry up and get a lot of stuff done before the weather turns. And I don't want to take them off of something that's maybe weather-related
Right.
to do brush, but if they can
Right,
fit in
yeah.
brush, then we will.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to ask Mr. Palkey about the water plant project, how it's going.
We've been doing some different tests, what we talked about, injecting the DE into the filters at a larger volume with a better pump, and it seems to be working. We actually took the pump off the Adams system because the Adams is kind of dry docked right now, and we put that pump into the industrial system, and it seems to be working very well. We're getting longer filter lives and less
Is that
DE.
big stainless steel one?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I told you that.
And we're waiting for Holbert Brothers to send us out some new wellets, because the wellet that is welded onto the pipe is only like a 1/2 or 3/4 inch. We want to go to the 2 inch to put more volume of water D in there.
Mhm.
And this is going to extend our filter life, so they don't have to keep cleaning the filters. It's more of, it should have been thought of in the first place, rather than them round pumps. that way.
Young gear.
Yeah, because it's just,
Injectors.
this isn't getting better, and it's just, we're using the amount of DE is unbelievable.
Oh, I
We're
know,
using probably
yeah.
triple what we normally use, and you gotta remember, that all goes into the sewer plant and wrecks all the machinery down there. I thought we'd solved this about 20 years ago. They had some way to bypass it so it wouldn't go down there, and now it's going back down there again.
I talked to the different operators, past operators and the operators that we have there, and everybody seems that there's not enough DE coating on the filters. So that's why
Yeah.
we're not getting a long life, so you gotta keep flushing the filters.
Mhm.
So you're flushing good DE where, you know,
Right down the drain.
right down the drain. And there is a pit outside the water plant that needs to be cleaned out where the DE is supposed to settle
Yeah.
before it goes down the sewer line.
Right, is that full, or haven't you looked? you haven't
No,
looked yet?
it's gotta be taken care of this year.
How do you clean that? Manually
Take the
or-
cover off and pump it down and shovel it out.
Yeah, so somebody's got.
It's like a big septic tank out there, you know, so it settles down with baffles. But,
Somebody can get in it?
yeah, and it seems like these
Well, it's
little,
just DE, it's not
No,
septic stuff.
no, it's
What
just-
you drink is
no,
what's in there.
it's filter material, that's what it is. But, it seems to be,
Stomping around in there.
it seems to be that the test that we're doing is working out, so I think we're gonna solve our problem out there.
We used to clean it before years ago, so.
Yeah, I don't know when that stopped.
We're getting prices on those pumps also. We found another manufacturer that'll, because we had a spare one.
Yeah, we do have a spare one.
Yes.
We talked about this last summer,
Yeah,
because I like those pumps.
yeah.
I don't like the other pumps.
No, me neither.
I didn't like them at the time.
No.
You didn't like them either.
No, I know.
Little cheap looking things for
Well-
$1,000 a piece and they
Yeah,
don't
but
work. and-
you gotta look at, we're not water plant operators.
No.
So, you know, when we go in there, we ask the questions to the professional. That's the way I look at it. So I ask them the questions, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And then we come up with a solution.
Then when that doesn't work, then you go ask Johnny Bernard and he engineers it for you and it works.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, there's different tests to do to make things run better.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. So that's
I
the
appreciate
update with
that.
the water plant.
Yeah.
We got the
Appreciate that.
scheduling pretty much straightened out, and
I'm hoping to set up something for, in November, for the board to take a tour of those plants over in Vermont, the new water plants over there.
Alberg and Swan.
Swan.
Yeah. We'll go over there, and we got a few more things to do to catch up in October, but in November, I hope things quiet down enough that we can go over there and.
I just wanted to mention about those DE pumps, where they've been a topic of conversation, basically since we put them online. And we opened up a dialogue, at least Mr. Dillon opened up a dialogue with AES concerning the operation of those pumps, whether or not that we should get the proper pumps for that, because the opinion is that they don't operate right, and they've never operated right.
I didn't like them when they were still in the cardboard box, remember that?
Absolutely, I know.
And
So that's
and
why
they
we
come up,
chatted.
they got a rubber diaphragm or tube in them that wears out, I think they're using 2 a week, aren't they? And they're, how much are they, $80 a piece?
50.
$50 a piece, twice a week, times 2 pumps,
Right.
permanently for the next 20 years.
You know,
It's insane.
There's been a dialogue and another chatter going along about those pumps, and even if you crank them up, I think the opinion, if Mr. Pelkey and I heard it right from Mr. Delano, even if you crank them up on 100%, still not doing the output that we want them to do, something to that effect. So if we've had a design flaw from AES, then I've been of the opinion for months that we ought to go back to them and say, hey, they're not working, we want something else. And
I'm all in for that.
for us not have to eat the cost of those pumps.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's why we're trying to find a solution to our problem and then bring them to the table and say, look what we did.
Yeah.
This is the outcome.
We're gonna
That-
have the answers before we
As
go.
long as we
Right.
have a path forward, so we
Yeah,
can be
definitely.
responsible for the taxpayers' money and the grant money that we have out there.
Right. Somebody needs to be held responsible for these
Yes.
pumps, definitely.
Absolutely.
But
Thank
we need to make sure that we have all our ducks in order to make sure that when we sit down at the table with them, say, this is the difference between the 2 pumps.
you.
So that's where we're at.
Understandable. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Buckey.
anything else, Ben?
No, not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, trustee Dart.
Got one item on here, the evaluation of a probationary employee. The board requests an executive session with just the mayor to discuss this matter, please. I was just given this at 4 o'clock, okay? Well, we haven't had any discussion about anything. So
Okay.
I believe the board wants an executive session with the mayor.
Oh, okay, I didn't understand how you said it.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, so you got a motion, you got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
When-
Okay.
when
That's
do you
all
want-
I have.
At the end of the regular meeting?
Yeah, we'll have an executive session, we'll come back in a regular meeting
Yes,
and deal with this.
right, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Trustee
Thank
Menard?
you.
Just one thing, I just want to reiterate, I'd like to congratulate the fire department on the $75,000 grant. Big boost for the village, and just takes a lot of work, I know, for the grants, and just congratulations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee LeBlanc?
Just a couple of updates on economic development. I attended the ANCA conference this past week in Saranac Lake, and not that I could get a lot out of my initial meeting with ANCA, but what I took away was what they had done for downtown revitalization in Saranac Lake with that Hotel Saranac. That is amazing to see down there. I mean, that's an old village, and you can tell the parts that haven't been revitalized still look, not like we expect, but the downtown is amazing. So things can happen and can have a positive effect if revitalization is done correctly. Also, I'm continuing to work with spreading the word about getting investment opportunities for the village for all 3 areas that we're looking at. And myself and Trustee Dart are attending the SUNY Potsdam Conference on village government and economic development next week.
Okay,
And I'd like to thank the business owners for attending a couple of times here and providing input to the board and help us get a lot more people interested in economic development and revitalization. So thank you for attending and staying with us. It's gonna be a long journey, and hopefully we can turn this around.
you're always welcome. Especially in the winter when it's cold outside, like over here. Okay, other reports. Administrator, you have anything?
Yeah, just letting you know we're working on these personnel additions for the rec center, as you've all been updated on those. Coming back from the NICOM conference last week, a lot of good information. Probably one of the things I was most struck by as we networked with various professionals around the state is how many people really know not just where Rouse's Point is, but how well they've thought of it, and or how well they think of it. And I thought that was a really great thing to just kind of hear, people from all over the state. And I think that's kind of shows what kind of area this is. People are really, they knew of it, they've been here, they've been through here, over the bridge, one way or another, and just had a really positive feeling about this community. So I thought I would pass that on. We also, on Saturday, we had our first Most on the Coast event. It was a craft fair. Here at the rec center, we brought 350 people through the door and had 33 vendors. After expenses, we netted about $1,500, which is modest but good enough. Really with what it took to put it together is a great showing. So altogether, I think Donna and Jess and I were very pleased with how it went. A lot of compliments, a lot of people on the way out asking if we're having it again next year. We'd like to do that. And we actually had a lot of people just with the sign out front just stopping in. We had folks from all parts of Quebec. We had people from Latham that were here that just saw the sign, wanted to stop as they were leaf peeping or driving by. So I think the event itself is well positioned in the right weekend at the right time, and really did showcase this area very, very well. So we're going to have that again.
Very good. This is exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
This is a start, and this is exactly the way we want to go. Get these kind of events coming in, and I think the key to them is so that people know that they're every year. They put them on their calendar, and then they start, you start building up a return, and they tell other people how good it was, or if it wasn't any good, and the word gets around, and that's how these things take off.
Exactly.
Well, I know one thing, I myself though, I think the sign out there is way too small.
Yeah.
I think the village should look into something a little bit bigger, whatever. I mean, if you're going by 20 miles an hour, you can't read that sign.
Yeah, yeah.
And so-
Well, I remember Steve
And not only
Merchant.
that, I think it should be lower.
Yeah, I think it should be closer to the road too,
Yeah.
not in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I talked to Steve Merchant about that last year, or the year before. He said they did all the work to get it. They got the grant to get it. That's all the money they could get. That was the biggest one they could get for the money they had. As soon as they put it up, everybody liked it and said, "Why didn't you get a bigger one?" So, but we can look into that, get some prices and put in a budget request during budget season. We'll see if we can fit it in or not. And maybe we can recycle this one to someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the fire station or something, or someplace.
Yeah.
As far as the locations of the road, our code enforcement officer, Mr. Sterling, had advised us at that time, all the time, 30 feet from the center of the road. So you're stuck with that state law, 30 feet.
I think that can be adjusted too. You just have to talk to
Really?
somebody. Yeah, I do. How do you put a sidewalk there? How do you put pipes in the ground? How do you put, everything else that's village equipment that's closer than that?
Yeah.
You got light posts all the way down the road. You gotta move the sign in 15 feet off the road.
Yeah.
The only thing on the whole road that's in like that.
Right.
It just required somebody to.
May or may have more influence than the code enforcement officer does.
I would think so.
There you go. Have that.
Oh, well.
Okay, let's see, where are we leaving off? Okay. Recreation Center Facility Manager, Jess.
Hello, good evening. So we are kind of in a critical stage right now. Outdoor stuff wrapping up. We'll have to balance pretty soon, winterizing bathrooms, removing garbage cans, and anything that we can find closure on. But I've also started the process of ice making as of today. Mike and I have been prepping for the last 2 weeks to get the building ready, up to par, which it is there. Today we cleaned the entire ice arena floor, so we removed all the dust with the blanket. That worked really well. Compressors got turned back on as of 1 p.m. Jay Hogan found one ammonia leak in compressor number 2. It is fixed. It was very minor. This afternoon, however, we did have issue with compressor number 1, which is the one that the mechanical seal was changed on. It didn't want to hold pressure and actually stalled itself out. So Jay Hogan and I actually spent the afternoon working on it together. As of 4:40 this evening, we actually had it back up and running. I have done compressor checks on both, and they're both at par. So they're running where we need them to be. And tomorrow, when the brine temperature gets to 15, I'm actually gonna flip them to auto, which is just gonna save us some energy costs at that point. So right now, everything is running smooth, so we can begin ice making actually on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're gonna put the boards up, the glass that we had removed at the end of last year, or this year's ice season. So we're gonna finalize the rink itself, and then start the ice process on Wednesday. We'll have the layers starting. So really excited that that's finally happening this week. The one thing that, is a great discussion is that I've researched and looked into and discussed with Jay Hogan is the way that we run our compressors. We're running a brine temperature at 15 degrees, 24 hours a day. It's very costly. Looking at it, we run them 14 hours at nighttime, where energy costs are down at nighttime. So why not run our compressors harder during that period? And then when we come in for our shift, we can actually turn the temperature up around 2 p.m. while we have people utilizing the ice. So we're still kind of in a great time as far as saving energy costs go, because in the evening, those rates start to go back down. So it's just kind of something that's worth looking into, seeing how much we can actually save by just playing even 5-degree difference with the brine temperature. Will not affect the ice, especially as it gets colder outside. We have that ability with the tin roof, and it'll keep the building cold enough. So it is something that I would definitely, will be looking into.
Do our rates change though by the time of the day? Because we're not getting nice
No,
enough.
if we turn the temperature back down, say if I came in, I would turn the temperature up. By 2 p.m., I'm gonna turn it back down. Really only needs those 2 hours. Say we have high school, we'll enter the ice at 4 p.m. So at 2 p.m., we're still kind of in that higher rate, but we're not in it from 7 a.m. up. So we're kind of cutting back on those hours that we're in the peak of energy at that point, and then running into the evening hours. And then whoever closes at the end of that shift can go ahead and turn that compressor down and turn that temperature down and let the compressors run a little bit harder during
So
those
it's like turning the
hours.
thermostats down in the room.
Yes.
You're saving energy and hopefully cumulative.
Yeah, if you go to work, you don't want your
Same-
thermostat
same-
running at 75 degrees
Yeah.
if you're not at home. So it's
Right.
kind of the same concept.
Yeah, okay.
Jessica, is there any computer program or anything that runs those compressors at all?
No, there used to be. Unfortunately, something was downloaded, kicked it out. I do believe it's Control Technology through Vermont has done the entire system that's in the compressor room. I would actually have to give them a call. I know that there was a quote given from Jay Hogan to switch the digital display completely. It is something that I need to look into, because to be able to have that access, I could actually access from home, make sure that the temperatures are running, which would let me know that, it's going accordingly. We don't have an issue occurring in the compressor room. So it is something that I'm gonna have to figure out how to get back onto the computer. And now that Twin State has.
Get them to come over and.
Yes, yeah, because it's a software issue at this point
Right.
that was created, so
It seems like if it's on a computer program, it would be much more efficient.
yes, because you can actually now with technology, check it from your phone. So, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, you could turn them on, turn them off, whatever, you could turn the lights
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
whatever you wanted.
Mhm.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, it would be cost efficient to get it back on that
Yes.
computer system. I mean, you
It
wouldn't have
saves
any
a
labor
3-hour
hours
call out.
really on it, and
I'd like to ask our treasurer a question, because I think our son have asked this about residents before. Do we have a cost-saving time period in the building? We don't. It's, whether you use something wide open at 7 in the morning or 10 at night, it's the same cost.
There's no difference in, no differentials in electric
Right,
rates.
that's what I understood.
Same,
Thank you.
same rate 24 hours a day.
Right, thank
Kilowatt
you.
to kilowatt.
So it's just, efficiency managing the system and not necessarily just the time which it's using the electricity.
but if you had a computer program, you
Mm,
could,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
do that much more efficiently,
yes.
a lot less labor intensive.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you. Been getting a lot of compliments on the building, so naturally I've been taking credit for all of them. But,
That's why I have.
well, I'm the mayor, right? No, no, I
That's
tell
what we say
them,
every time we see an article in the paper, he's the mayor.
I haven't been in the paper at all, have I? Very little. That's gonna change tomorrow, or Wednesday and Thursday. So, you wanna tell the board about your skates?
Oh, yes. Steve had looked into some grants. We had budgeted to buy skate rentals so we can rent out skates to those who don't have them. And we were actually awarded a $5,000 grant, which within the quotes that I had given will allow us to do so and get not just figure skates to rent out, but hockey skates to rent out as well. And still have enough to put like into a rack when we need a rolling rack or somehow build the cubbies so we can store the skate rentals. So that's very exciting that, you know, that's not out of our pocket and that we can provide that to the community.
And it's not just the money we got for the skates, but the idea behind the skates is to get more people to come in here and buy ice time and get more people in here. So encourage them, and people like, you know, hopefully like kids want to, you know, parents want to let their kids try it out and see if they want to learn how to skate
Right,
without
exactly.
buying skates. They can just rent them
Right.
and,
Yeah, that would help definitely on your free skate.
yeah. So that's what we're hoping for. So very good on that.
Congratulations.
Okay, Mr. Pelkey,
Yes,
what
sir.
have you been doing?
Just give you an update on the wastewater facility. The training's going very well up there. We've been working on a few small projects that they've been having problems with alarms on and equipment failures, and they're figuring them out, and things are working very smoothly. Where we used to get alarms every day, now I went the whole weekend with no alarms on a piece of equipment that them guys worked hard on figuring out the problem with. It's been going on for years. So I give them credit. Now, I went up there with them, did a couple little tests for them, and they went with it, and they found the problem and solved it. So
New motivation.
I'm very proud of what they did up there. And they have quotes for waste hauling. Carl Smith will be hauling waste out of there soon, once he brings the truck up from Mineville. Is that where they haul that other stuff?
Yes.
So they're gonna be hauling the waste out to the, I think it's Franklin County, dump, landfill.
Talking about our sludge, correct?
Sludge, right. Yeah, they'll be hauling that out
Thank you.
soon, but he did get the quotes and they'll be loading it. The new Manitou for the wastewater plant is working very well. The line crew actually used it today to screw in a couple more streetlight basins, and it's got plenty of power. Very versatile machine, everybody's happy with it. The boat launch, last meeting we talked about the repairs down there. Those are pretty much completed. Street department went down there and straightened it out. We've been working down there different days, different hours, just to fix our boat launch, because there's a lot of people that use it, and it's a very nice facility. And they did pour some more slabs, and we're chaining those together, and we fixed a big hole out there and
Took out the reef.
took out the reef, and it looks a lot better. So we should get some compliments on, rather than getting some pour press on it.
We should, but we won't, you know.
Well,
how it
yeah.
works.
I'm still working on the Chapman Street crossing. I have a call into one of the foremans at the railroad. They're working their way up this way, so we're gonna work with them. They're gonna take out that set of rails so we can repair all those bumps up there. I just don't want the board and the people to forget or think that we forgot about that crossing. But the railroad is slow. You know, it's hard to get them to come up here and come to the table, but they are gonna come work with us.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, are we all done with the sidewalks for the year, or you still got some more to do?
No, we're done with the sidewalks. We got some patchwork paving to do. We've been taking out some frost heaves. Years ago, when they dug across the road, they put all kinds of gravel in there, and it doesn't mix with the fill that's in the ground, and that's where you get all these frost heaves. So they've been recutting the spots, taking out the gravel, putting common fill, putting the amount of gravel that's supposed to be there, and we're patching those for future paving jobs that we're gonna be doing.
What about the one on Pine Street that goes up? That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
That's high rock.
we're gonna do a whole Pine Street construction in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're working on
streets
that.
gonna
Yeah,
be-
no, I hear carriages and,
No, you might not have a street for a
babies.
couple months this summer.
Couple months or a couple years.
I don't know, it could be a dirt road for a while.
Yeah,
Maybe a
well,
couple
We're
days.
looking at, we haven't started engineering it yet, but we're looking at a pretty major rebuilding that street and a couple other streets.
That's about it for me.
Brian, have you got scheduled on your job sheet about striping the 2 rows out front here? Or as, we talked about that at the last meeting? Vehicle striping out here for, as far as parking stall
Right.
spaces?
I'm supposed to stripe that?
Oh, I thought the board walked away with the impression you were gonna do it.
I was gonna do it with the striping machine for the soccer goals.
Okay.
I didn't think that was gonna work, but I think you were supposed to talk to Jess about it,
Okay.
I think you
right?
probably ought to talk to like Shinbear or somebody that does that.
I thought it was a drop dead.
No,
I brought it up under your agenda.
Right,
so,
yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
mean, I
right,
didn't-
yeah.
I didn't know how far to
We
take
talked
that.
about.
Yeah, well,
Striping.
yeah, well, the way people park out here, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well,
yeah,
and stuff
what we
like that.
talked about, Ben, is
We agree with you.
Yeah.
we
We don't
agreed
need
with
a
you,
whole
but
lot
we didn't
done.
wanna do a real expensive job because we're gonna be repaving this in, what, 3 years, we figured?
Yeah,
So, you don't wanna put, like,
right, yeah.
$5,000 worth of striping down if you're just gonna cover it up in a couple of years.
Just the first 2 rows.
Who does the
You
paint?
get the people in front parking.
Well, Shinbear can do it, and stuff like that, well, I don't know what he'd charge, you know, just for a quick job and stuff, I could ask him,
2 rows.
you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Get it
what I
cold.
mean, because, otherwise, if we can do it ourselves for cost of the paint,
Yeah.
it's a little different, $200 for the paint.
Oh, you gotta have a painter too, I
$400 or
mean,
$500
you gotta have
for the
something
other,
to
yeah.
put the paint down with, you know? You gotta, put a quart of paint down or whatever.
We're gonna use that thing that they put lime down with, weren't we, or something?
Yeah, well, you can't do that.
No idea.
Well, Dale says we can.
Yeah. We
They
did.
paint the field, they got a thing they paint it now
Made some
instead of using lime.
Well,
How do you get your edges straight with that? Doesn't it just, a spray can just spray down?
No.
It doesn't? It makes an edge?
It's a little,
I haven't looked at the
Well,
machine.
I'll
the
tell you
one,
what,
the one the village used to have
on the weekend
was a long tube.
Don't do the whole thing yourself.
Long
Just
tube
see
and had
if
just a
stuff,
little
see if
squirt,
they can do it,
a
do a
little
couple
squirt, when you
things,
squeeze
see
the
if-
handle, the paint
set
would
them
come
up.
out, and there was a brush, a 3-inch brush, that just went along and just did that.
I think the one they're talking about is the one that
the
she
spray
stripes the
can,
field
spray
with.
can sits right upside down.
Yeah, I've seen that before, yeah. But the village used to have one years ago, we used
You
to
just squeeze the
take
handle
the
and
lines and
It's
drop the
a-
streets, years ago.
Tip is a
When I first worked
rectangle,
here.
so you angle it in, and so the line becomes square, so it's a nice rectangle.
Dale, could you look
It
into this?
does work, it's time consuming, and I know we don't have a whole lot of help here, so. I mean,
Well, that's the
if
thing,
you
I
know
mean-
Chenevier, ask him,
Yeah, well, that's what I say, I'll ask
ask him
him
what
for
the
a
price
quick-
is, I mean,
yeah.
before we
I mean, he
go.
knows how wide the cars are supposed to be, the
Right.
lines are supposed to be, and how long the
Yeah.
cars or the
9
lines
feet
are.
by 20 or something.
Yeah.
9 feet by 18 or something, I think.
Yeah,
SK also. S&K. They did the credit union.
yeah,
Scott King. He
yeah,
does striping too if you want a second price.
yeah.
But again, we don't want to get carried away with this because it's just a.
Oh, no, just a temporary fix, yeah, just,
Plus, as soon as the snow comes, we'll be able to see them anyway.
They paint them yellow.
Paint yellow,
Okay. Anything else? No. Okay, anyone from the public, now's your chance again. Okay, if not, I will entertain a motion to recess.
yeah. Hold on. Yes, no?
Nobody
No?
wants
Okay.
to say anything, we'll wait for another week.
Okay. I make a motion, we adjourn for,
Recess.
or recess for executive session.
Second.
trustee Arnold says the second.